You know, for so many people, a fertility journey, it can really feel like a verdict has just been handed down, right? You get a diagnosis, a set of numbers, and suddenly it feels like this huge door has just slammed shut. I mean, have you ever been told something like your eggs are too old? Or maybe you've gotten that incredibly frustrating diagnosis of unexplained infertility. It can just leave you feeling so powerless, like you're just a passenger, a bystander to what's happening in your own body. Okay, but what if we looked at all of this from a completely different angle? That's exactly what fertility specialist Aimee Raupp is suggesting. Her whole point is that fertility is not a fixed state. It's not an on-off switch. It's this dynamic living system that actually responds to the environment it's in. And honestly, that idea, it changes everything. So let's do this. Let's use her framework to kind of deconstruct some of the biggest, most common fertility myths out there. We're going to explore why a diagnosis is not a final verdict, but actually a signpost for a new direction. All right, let's kick things off with a big one. Probably one of the most common and, frankly, confusing labels in reproductive medicine, unexplained infertility. Seriously, what does that even mean? Well, according to Raupp, unexplained really just means we haven't investigated deeply enough. That's it. The problem isn't that there's no reason, it's that we just haven't looked in all the right places yet. The issue is almost never just about your reproductive organs or your age alone. And this right here, this visualizes the two approaches perfectly. Look, on the left, you've got the conventional focus. It's a pretty narrow look, right? Hormones, age, basic anatomy. But on the left, that's the deeper investigation Aimee Raupp is talking about. It sees fertility as an expression of your whole body's health. We're talking metabolism, your immune system, even the health of your gut. And here's the crucial point, the thing you have to get. Your body is incredibly smart. It is hardwired to prioritize one thing above all else, survival. So if it senses chronic stress or inflammation, or that it's just not getting the resources it needs, it makes a completely rational decision. It says, whoa, hold on, and it downregulates the super energetically expensive process of reproduction. Your body isn't broken, it's just triaging, it's being smart. So that brings us right to the big blind spots in conventional care. These are the critical pieces of the puzzle that are so often missed in a standard workup. Okay, let's start with a massive one, a huge one. We now know that sperm quality plays a role in 50%, half, of all fertility challenges. And yet, the clinical focus is still overwhelmingly on the female partner. It's wild. And here's the thing, a basic semen analysis just doesn't tell the whole story, not even close. This is where a critical metric called sperm DNA fragmentation comes in. It's basically damage to the genetic material inside the sperm. And get this, it's directly linked to things like IVF failure and miscarriage, but it's almost never tested for. And trust me, the list of these overlooked factors just goes on and on. For instance, could it be a thyroid that's just a little bit sluggish? Or what about insulin resistance, how your body processes sugar, your vitamin D levels? Even the health of your gut microbiome has a huge impact on your fertility. But nope, none of these are typically part of a standard workup. And these blind spots, they become especially critical when we start to tackle one of the biggest fears in the world of fertility, this idea that egg quality is just fixed by your age. You know the narrative, that after 35, it's this unstoppable downhill slide. But this shows exactly why that is not the full story. See, an egg doesn't just poof into existence on ovulation day, it goes through this 90-day, 3 months maturation window. And during that time, its health is massively influenced by the environment inside your body. This isn't a problem, it's a window of opportunity. So you're probably asking, okay, so what can I actually do in that window? Well, it really comes down to a few key levers. We're talking about things like fueling the egg's tiny energy factories, they're called mitochondria, and reducing inflammation to create a healthier, happier ovarian environment. It's all about optimizing the conditions for that egg to mature in the best way possible, no matter what your chronological age is. Okay, so when you put all these pieces together, what you get is a completely new framework for thinking about fertility. It's not about luck, it's not about random chance, not at all. And this single sentence from Aimee Raupp, man, it just perfectly encapsulates her entire philosophy. Fertility is a system you can understand and support. It is not a black box. So let's just quickly break that down. Rhythmic, that means your cycles can be mapped out and optimized. Metabolic? That means seeing egg quality for what it is, an energy problem. Cellular means we have to zoom in on the health of the individual eggs and sperm. And the most important one, responsive. It means the system isn't fixed. It literally changes based on the support and the inputs you give it. And that is the ultimate takeaway here. The goal completely shifts. It's no longer a numbers game of just trying to stimulate more follicles. Instead, it becomes a health strategy focused on fixing the root causes of problems at the cellular level. It's a huge shift from quantity to quality. So we want to leave you with this final thought. The things that actually determine egg and sperm quality and whether an embryo implants successfully, these things are identifiable and they are modifiable. So the big empowering question really becomes, what if you're not just a bystander? What if you can be an active participant in your own biology?
I stopped trying to find a doctor who would listen, and I did this instead. For years, I was doing everything right. Eating clean, exercising, getting 8 hours of sleep, but I was still exhausted. I had constant brain fog, and my hormones felt completely out of whack. Every doctor told me my labs were normal, and it was probably just stress. I was about to give up until I found Holistic Health. It's a free AI wellness tool trained by functional medicine experts. I spent 5 minutes answering questions about everything: my symptoms, my sleep, my digestion, and it built me this. And this was the light bulb moment. It didn't just give me a list of problems, it connected the dots. It showed me how my gut health was likely impacting my hormones and how that was causing the fatigue and the brain fog. It even gave me a clear list of potential root causes, supplements to research, and even the specific lab tests to ask for. Its tip is secure. Over 77,000 people have used it, and it's 100% free to get your blueprint. If you feel like you're not being heard, start here. Understand your body first and then decide your next step.